Hi, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are today. I'll kick us off here today. So thanks for the warm introduction, James. My name is Brooke Servison. I'm a senior customer success strategist here at Plum. Currently, I'm usually in Amsterdam, but today I'm calling in from New York. And daily, I'm working with amazing clients, like we have one on the call today, Iona from Merca. So I'll let her introduce herself as well.
Yes, guys, hi. Thank you for joining for our session. My name is Lana. I'm a CRM department team leader in Mocha and working in Mocha for more than 5 years. It's a funny, I came to Mocha without any gaming experience, and I even didn't play any games at all, but now I love games a lot. I'm spinning every day, gathering some bonuses in other games, other companies' games, and so on and so forth. So let me introduce my company. Murka is an international game developer with more than 10 years of experience in game producing. Um, our main topics is scatter slots. We are well known in uh, social casino genre. Also, our games were named the most innovative games for few times in a row. Who are our players? Our audience mostly from
Iona,
United States.
maybe we
Yeah,
can share the screen just so
yeah.
we can
I'm
see the
so
content.
sorry.
No
Sorry.
worries.
Yeah.
And just FYI, people, there will be also some polls throughout the way. So stay tuned to those. We're looking forward to hearing your feedback there. Perfect.
Sure. Here on the slide in the bottom, you can see all our path since our creation.
Sorry, I'm not seeing the screen share.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No
Just give
worries.
me a sec.
Perfect. Great.
Yeah, here on the bottom, you can see our path from the creation of our company till today. All our titles are here. And how about users? Almost all our users are from United States, but we also have audience in Canada, Germany, Italy, France, and in more than 100 countries. How about age? Most of our audience are older than 25, 30 years. In our perfect world with a pony, with rainbows, our perfect user is granny or middle-aged woman who like to bake, who uh, loves to listen to country music, like TV shows, or a middle-aged man who like our games. And let's dive deeper in our CRM. I think you all understood that we use Plum as a CRM in our company. We have four channels. Push notification is one of our top channels that covers 67% of DAU. We also have email that covers 30% of DAU. In-app messages is something new for us, and we just started to experiment with this channel, but I think it will give us a huge growth of CRM metrics and retention. And Facebook Messenger here. This channel covers 34% of the EU, but due to some Facebook Messenger policy changes, we decided to concentrate all our attention on push notification and its improvements. Also, I'd like to mention that currently we have more than 250 active campaigns on each of our apps. In total, it's more than 1,000. We track more than 270 user attributes and events to dive deep in segmentation, to deliver our users just personal content that they would like to see. And of course, A/B tests. Over 50 active A/B tests are launched in our dashboards, from a huge tests with rewards, number of push notifications, to a small one with emojis, with text, and so on and so forth.
Perfect. Yeah, so something that we've recently done at Lean Plum is we've analyzed over 1,800 campaigns and over 670 million messages. And what we discovered is by far that push notifications are the largest driving channel for revenue when it comes to mobile gaming. You can see it here at 74%, so that's a huge, large chunk. So I'm curious to know as well from all the listeners here, what channels are you leveraging, or what channels are you seeing the most revenue come from? After push notifications, we then have in-app messages, which is around 19%, and then email is 7%. But what I also find is super interesting as well, push notifications are the largest revenue total overall. Email, actually, we discovered has the highest revenue per milli, or 1,000 cents. So what that means is that, revenue per message is actually much higher for email, even though we see it here, not as many gaming customers are doing that. And that could be for a couple of different reasons. That we also see the revenue per message is much higher for email, is that these gaming customers that are using email, it is much more of a segmented or targeted audience, which you would then see that increased in the revenue there. So yeah, maybe some numbers to play around with or see how you measure up as well internally. And overall, I think, Mirka does a fantastic job at combining these different channels, right? Not just, only push notifications, but making sure you're using the in-app messages and the emails and having it play onto a seamless user journey. Because what we find is that when you do leverage in combination the multiple channels, that is when you see that additional uplift in revenue. So really curious insights there to see. Back over to you, Lana.
How we changed our CRM strategy during the pandemic. At the start of the year, we saw that, oh my God, quarantine is something new for us. We don't know what should we do. We don't know what should we wait from these times. And then we decided to act. First of all, here on this slide, you can see the comparison between strategy in 2019 and 2020, and which results or conclusions we had due to these changes. So first of all, we made a lot of A/B testing with the number of push notifications per day, and figured out that sending of 4 must-have messages per day, it's necessary to give us a chance to bring as much DAU as we can. The second one, after we started to send more, the number of sent events raised, we met the new challenge. We had to optimize our campaigns, and we had to reduce costs. After that, we analyzed our users and their activity in push notifications, and saw that on some of the oldest app versions, users bring us less than 1 or 3% of sessions. And we decided to turn off messaging for such users. After that, we decreased our costs by 15%, sorry, and we didn't saw any negative influence on DAU or reactivation, so we won. Then the next stage was trying to send more in-app currency in messages. We made an A/B test, one message with in-app currency versus 4 messages with in-app currency. And what we saw that we bring to the apps more users, more our DAU grew. So we decided to left test group, and now we send enough currency in every message. And the last one, but not the least, the additional push notifications. We started to think that we have to monitor in the revenue, the hourly DAU, to understand where we can help. After that, we started 3 times a day, day-to-day, monitor our dashboards and decide whether we need some additional push notifications. This strategy helped us to help projects receive the planned numbers of active users. And we do it now too. All that I said, it was about our strategy in messaging, but what about creatives? Here on slide, you can see texts, banners, some acquisition promos that we showed then to our users. First of all, we sent such creatives to cheer up our players during the lockdown. My favorite with toilet paper is on the top.
Love that.
Yeah. When we send such notification, first of all, when there was some high numbers with people with COVID, to maybe to share the warmth of our Murka family with our players. Second, we sent such notifications when in-game events started, and they gave extra, maybe extra gifts with the message "we care." We understood that our players should stay home, play home, and stay safe. What about numbers? Well, 2020 has become a significant year for our CRM metrics. There was a huge increase in percent of opt-in users. It started in Q1, and we still see the significant numbers. Also we saw the decrease of uninstalls started in Q1, but the main profit we saw, it was the percent of MAU with open events and session. Especially in Q2. It meant that we bring to our apps more active users using our push notifications. Well, and about customer behavior. About customer behavior and how it changed during the pandemic. Here you can see the comparison between 2019 and 2020. What we saw? We saw that users started to play more in our games. They spent more time during the day playing our slots. Also, they started to make more sessions per day. They also were more interested. For example, top results for ARPU. In Q2, you can see that it was higher, almost 2 times higher than in 2019. And we hope we will start 2021 more successful than now. So we're waiting for that.
Maybe I add one thing. I think 2 slides back, I wanted to comment on something, just because I think we skipped
so sorry.
it. No worries, because I can hear I thought it was so interesting what you're talking about, sending more push notifications didn't really harm, the DAU, it actually increased or it didn't turn any uninstalls. So I can hear the people saying like, well, that's great, it worked for you, but how do I know what is the maximum of push notifications I can send before, a user uninstalls or opts out of push notifications? So I think one way to really combat that is to use advanced behavioral segmentation. And by using for example, one of our functionalities, which is recency and frequency, you can really segment your users beyond just demographics of region or age, but really use that behavioral segmentation of what they're doing in your app. For example, you can segment based on users who completed 10 levels in the last 3 days, so really honing in on these key segments for you. Or even, a user who purchased, let's say, over 100 coins in the last 30 days. So this advanced segmentation really allows you to target more specifically and make it more relevant to your users, which will ultimately lead to higher engagement, but also higher revenue per message, which ultimately makes your marketing strategy much more cost effective and profitable, right? But one thing even beyond that, even beyond just the segmentation, to really use this behavioral segmentation to personalize the content of the message, right? Making it much more personalized and relevant to the users. That will also, you should see about a 3 times uplift in revenue improvement. But what we found in our studies is that only 2% of messages are actually using the personalization with the behavioral elements today. So I guess my question to everyone listening would be, are you tracking enough data today to ensure that your users are having the most personalized experience? And if you are, then are you using it to the fullest capacity yet? And if not, maybe that's something to take a look into. Cool, thanks. I just thought it was an important note to hit there.
Yeah, thank you. I also want to add that this tool that Brooke shared and explained how it works will help us in our future A/B tests with some in-game currency increasing by life cycles and so on and so forth. It's a really great feature. Thank you.
Cool.
Well, gathering all puzzles, our work, also product changes, user behavior changes. We really had a great results in Q2. Well, according to earlier Creator Gaming report, Mook increased revenue by 45% in Q2. It's about market average. Also on the next slide is results of Q3. We're still in top and we increased our revenue by 30%. I think it's a really great result of our teamwork, of our company, and we're and looking forward to be on top of this list, but we'll wait for the results at the end of this year. So, and the next one, the last one. I think everybody is interested what we are doing now and what's the situation in the company now. Actually, we are continuing to increase our metrics. We are also improving all our games, our current titles, but we do not hesitate to release new projects. During pandemic, we released one of our unique projects, Slot Journey Quiz. I think it's something new on the market. It compares different mechanics. Also in November, we also released a new title, Arc Slots, with the unique graphics, with a huge stacks of slots. You should play it. What stages and which channels we added to it? First of all, when we understood that we are releasing the new project soon, we understood the CRM is a must-have part of these titles. Then we defined needed CRM channels for that. Top of them were push notification, of course. Then we built the tutorial push notification logic. After that, we made the event calendar of scheduled messages. We also built the regular notification logic based on bonuses that waiting for user inside the game, also based on some features like level ups and so on and so forth. After that, when we gather all notification logics that we need, we defined needed user data. As I mentioned before, it was more than 100, sorry, 270 user attributes and events. And after that, we integrated our CRM into the project. Then we started testing and campaign preparation. When we were sure that all campaigns are ready, all testing were made, and the game are ready to release, we released those games, and we started unstoppable journey of improvements and I think infinite struggle by user retention. All from you, Brooke.
Yep, next slide. But yeah, I think it's really great that you guys have such a repeatable model with that, right? And I think that's what, like, when we think of Mirka, we think of some fantastic casino apps, and now you're also in the casual gaming field as well. So this really structured process you've been able to copy and repeat over time, I think just lends to what you guys have been able to do and be so successful. So that's really interesting to hear. Thanks for that. And yeah, I also wanted to just, give you, I guess, a little bit more insight into what Lean Plum is, and perhaps maybe some of you on the call today are listening or considering a new CRM platform in the new year, maybe. So for those of you who aren't familiar with us, Lean Plum is really a mobile first, but channel agnostic platform. And what does that mean? What that means is that essentially we are able to ingest data, whether it's from your app, your website, your CDP, really any data source, and use this information to then create this unified one source of truth profile within Lean Plum. And I think that's one of the big things here and the one caveat, because you can ingest all this data and use this profile to leverage then so many different channels. This data you can utilize through segmentation, personalization. You can test and engage with users with the number of different channels that mentioned, whether it be email, push, in-app, web push. You can even product test your app or your website. So really some cool things you can do with us. And what we see is that when companies orchestrate these multi-channel engagement strategies, that's really where you see that uplift in revenue, engagement, and conversion, and so on. So if you're interested in learning more, feel free to drop me an email. I think on the next slide I have my email address, or also just send me a note on LinkedIn. We'll make sure we get you set up with a demonstration so you can see it in real for yourselves as well. Cool. I think that's about it. I would love to know, James, if we have any questions, or maybe some of the poll answers. I think that's also super interesting, or what we might be able to take a look at now.
Yeah, do you want to take a look at the poll? We've had a few answers to that and see what that's saying. Yeah.
I don't see it on my side. Maybe where would I don't see any Q&A or the poll.
If you go into swap card and then on the live discussion on the tab, do you see the polls tab? Yeah.
Take a look there.
I suppose in the meantime, I've got a question for Fiona, which is, Mirka, obviously this year has been a big year of a lot of change, and you've had a lot of new usage coming in, and you've really done a great job taking advantage of that. So congratulations, and moved really fast and adapted. So, do you think this is like a sort of do you think this growth is going to continue in 2021, or is behavior going to go back to where we were before? It's amazing seeing that chart of the Q1, Q2, and seeing this usage just boosted across the board. How do you sort of see it playing out next year?
Well, actually, we're hoping we will continue our growth as a company year to year, but let's not plan. I think the key results we will see in the end of the this year, at the start of the next year, and then we will know that where we should go.
Got it.
With our strategies.
Yeah. And I just had one more question, which, if it's okay, which was, probably for both of you actually, dealing with, it's been amazing to see over the course of the week the way the app industry's adapted to the last year. And I think we're all lucky we've seen, unless you're a sort of travel app, we've seen a lot of growth, and it's been really, in some ways, a lot of positive things happening in terms of consumer adoption and so on. But obviously everyone's had to work from home, had different circumstances, less travel, more lockdowns, less offices. How sort of Merca adapted to that? And
first it was hard because we love to work from our offices. They are really comfortable for us. There are a lot of people that we like to work with, but when we started to work at home, we understood that we can do the same thing that we do at the office. We can talk a lot using Zoom, Slack, and so on. And we really reached our goals even working from home. As for me, it's totally comfortable, except my dog. He always barking when I'm trying to work hard and do not pay attention a lot.
And Brooke, if you don't mind, how Lean Plum's very international. You've got people all over the place. How's it? I guess your clients as well have been working from home. How have you found doing things sort of remotely?
Yeah, I think with our company as well, it's pretty easy to take offline or work in more isolated environments with Zoom and all the tools we have today. I think it's pretty interesting as a company, because we are so international. We are often on calls with other colleagues, so we know how to create and still maintain good relationships and keep the social aspect up as much as possible, which sometimes you really have to work on. But it's also interesting from a customer perspective, because we do get to see the inside of our homes, and I think that's almost strengthens the relationship, or just gives you an insight into someone's real life, which is just a nice a nice way to grow together. So hopefully, I miss the brainstorming sessions and these kind of things in the office itself, but hopefully we can move to some kind of a hybrid model in the next year. And I just want to travel and see my customers again. I think that's one thing that's always nice, to go out to lunch, or just see the inside of these creative offices as well. So looking forward to maybe coming to Kyiv, Iona, someday, but we'll see. That might be way far out from now, but let's try to plan something along those lines. So.
Great. Well, I think we do have a question, if you can see that, and hopefully you've got access to the polls, Brooke. So I'll hand back over to you, and you can maybe take a look at the polls and answer the question. Yeah. Okay.
Let's do that. Yeah. Really interesting, some poll results here, so I'll just read those off quickly. One of the questions we asked was, which kind of CRM do you use? Is it external or internal? High number here for external solution, about 88%, with an internal solution about 12%. So that's probably what we expected, but interesting to see that some of the people also have their own creative systems internally as well, and maybe someday they will be looking to outsource this a little bit more. We'll see. How many CRM channels do you have currently? So we gave the options of 1, 2, 3, or 4 plus. 1 is about 21% of people. 2 channels is at 32%. Also 3 channels is at 32%. So those seem to be 2 or 3 channels seems to be the most. And then we have only 16% with 4+ channels. So hopefully for these, anyone who's under 4, interested to know if you're thinking, okay, what other channels could I be leveraging, or what makes sense for my business? We also asked what channel has a top priority for your users, and no surprise here, because I think it also relates a little bit with the data that I showed in the presentation, not only for gaming, but also for other industries. Push notifications seems to be out in the lead at 59%, followed by emails, which is 32%. Love to see that though, because as you saw in the data and just overall, email still is the best converting channel. So whether you're younger or older, it's pretty consistent, and love to see that we're not forgetting about email as a whole. Chatbot is 0%, interesting. In-app messages at 9%. Curious to know if we could ask this a year later with the same people. I think in-app messages is such an underused channel. Really trying to get my customers as well to adopt it more and more, whether it's a simple banner at the top or triggered based on user activity within the app. So love to see that number grow, because I think it, again, is an underrated channel there.
Shame
go
no
ahead.
one use chatbots.
Yeah, no one used chatbot. Yeah, interesting, right? We'll see. Maybe that'll take off someday in a couple of years from now. How many push notifications do you send per user per day? We have almost majority here, 89% at 1 to 5. So yeah, I think probably someone's in around 1 to 2 push notifications, I would imagine. But we do have some higher users here who are at 5 to 10 push notifications at 5% of users. And 20+ is at 5%. I would really like to know what kind of companies are doing that, and how you've been, and what your drop off looks like of, how many push notifications you can send before you start seeing those either uninstalls or drop off. So really interesting to see. Yeah, Iona, any comments on that, or interesting stuff probably for you to hear as well?
Yes, it's quite interesting results. As I told, it's a pity that no one used chatbots. It's quite interesting channel, and you should try that.
Yeah, leaving some money on the table there, it seems like. So yeah, and I guess maybe they could reach out to you, or do some research from what Mirko's doing there, if they want to see what some best in class are doing.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting that no one sent 10 or 20 email push notifications per day. We are in this diapason. We sent in total, of course, I've counted all regular push notifications and scheduled push notifications. Some of our users could receive 10 or more push notifications per day. All and depends on here user activity inside the game.
Yeah, definitely interesting. We do have one question as well. So I have some thoughts on this, but maybe I'll pass it over to you, Iona, first. Or maybe I can start if I've been reading it and having to think about it. But it's from Mirko, and he asked, how did your lifecycle campaigns change during this year due to the pandemic? So maybe while you have a think about that, I can talk about what some of my customers have done. So I have to say, in the beginning, we kind of pause these lifecycle campaigns, and it was much more of an ad hoc basis, right? Because no matter what region you're in, especially if you're in multiple countries, things are changing every day, and it's really hard to be keeping up with the certain restrictions we're in, and we don't want to be sending to insensitive, go out your house to get this when there's actually a full lockdown in place. So it was, I think in the first couple of months, it was very ad hoc based, but you saw a lot more communication, being more empathetic to the users, and really, not necessarily pushing sales and stuff like that, but just showing careness. And I think, Mirko also did that with you can see in their different examples that they provided. So a lot around that. And then I think also from, I know my life has changed. Now I'm going on a lunch walk rather than going to work out after work. So my whole calendar day has changed. And I think we've seen that with the lifecycle campaigns as well. I do have, but based on timing when you're sending to users. So I have one customer who their business was always booming during the middle or during the weekday, right? And because no one was going to the office anymore, they saw their app usage go up incredibly on the weekend. So I think there was a lot of also analysis to understand, is this timing and these kind of campaigns still working for my user as to how they're living life today? And if not, they needed to change their whole strategy and really encourage more users during the weekday and really optimize on the weekend. So I'd say it's different for every company. I know that's not probably the answer you wanted to hear, but if I can learn a little bit more about what specific industry you're in, Mirko, happy to have a more in-depth conversation with you about that. And yeah, Iona, any thoughts for you, just to repeat the question maybe, how did your life cycle campaigns change during this year due to the pandemic?
Yeah, sure. As you told, one of your customers mentioned decrease during weekend. We saw such behavior in our apps too, and we tried to increase such numbers, sending more in-app currency to give our users a chance to spend more in our games without any payments, or we started to send more push notification or less push notifications during weekends, and all these A/B tests has no results. We saw that just online monitoring of DAU and monitoring of points when we see drops of planned DAU are effective. So when we see the drop, comparing the previous weeks and comparing the planned numbers of DAU, we started to set up extra campaigns with extra rewards if they are needed. Due to users' balances inside the game, and sending one more push notification and it works. About some lifecycle campaigns, we cannot, we don't have strict lifecycle campaigns. We have a few components. It's regular campaigns, triggered campaigns that are triggered by user actions inside the game. For example, bonuses collection. For example, user completed world on 90 or 50%. Users did something in live ops, in our in-game events, and so on and so forth. We also have some tutorials for new users that just install the app to bring them to the key points of our user journey. And we have risk of churn campaigns. This campaign set it for users who closely to churn, and schedule ones. So the most of changes were in scheduled campaigns. We didn't launch any new or any extra in our regular campaigns, just some push notifications to support in-game events or in-game features that were released during the time. We tried to add some new tutorial, but it wasn't effective. We left the old ones. And the last thing that we did, it was reviewing the churn reactivation logic. We started the process of reviewing the number of coins and gifts that we give to those users, and that's all.
Awesome, cool. Well, that was the last question, but I think we're both open. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us on LinkedIn or something. I really hope you guys enjoyed the presentation today. I want to thank so much for your time as well. Really interesting to hear it from Mirko's perspective, everything over the last year. And just maybe also a shout out if we have any other gaming customers or companies on the call today. We will be doing a Lean Plum Gaming Week in January. So I think it's starting on the 12th. So stay tuned on LinkedIn and feel free to sign up if you're interested in that. All right, everyone. Have a great rest of your day and weekend ahead. Was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you all.